We are outside Old Trafford. We are live. This is Forever United TV. Welcome along, everybody. There is so much to talk about right now. I thought it was only fitting that we changed up the angle of Old Trafford for you guys, get a bit of a look at the foundation to the side of me. So I'm surrounded by Must, the foundation, Old Trafford in the background, and then a Ford dealership just over the other side. But not important right now, unless they become sponsors of United. That would be one, wouldn't it? But anyway, there's so much to talk about, namely the toxicity in that training ground right now. Well, Carrington, what Sir Jim Ratcliffes has done, he has dropped the atomic bomb into lazy bastard zone, and they've all kicked up a big hellstorm because they don't like it. Whether you can put that on just the staff, I'm testing my arm here because like there's staff all around me right now, and it's a bit risky in saying that, but I know that there's plenty of staff at Man United. I've said this always, that work their asses off, like they are overworked. It's not everyone. I'm guessing that this is aimed at them that are working in London. You know what I mean? Up here in the north, everyone around here is absolutely busting a gut. So we'll just say it's the guys that are down in London. They're the ones that this has been hit with more, because they're the ones that have been on this so-called working from home crap. But apparently at Carrington, for some reason, this has been brought up as now hit the toxicity side of things. And with the staff have now looked at this and gone, it's upset the apple cart. Everyone is now wondering what's going to happen. If they put one foot wrong, they're going to lose their job. The message from Sir Jim Ratcliffe in, go and find alternative work if you're not happy with it. That's, I think, what's worrying more people. Like, are they going to do something wrong and are they then going to get let go? Please say hello to Josh as well, guys. We've got Josh on the comms as well today. He's going to take your questions and your comments and bring them to me. So I want loads of them today. Ask me whatever you want. Get into the chat. Make sure you are subscribed, because that way you can get involved in the chat and give the video a like. Toxicity at Carrington. Whether it's players, whether it's staff, whatever it is, it's not good apparently at the moment. Jim Ratcliffe has come in and done what everyone at Manchester United within the fan base has wanted for a long, long time. They have just come in and said, look, this is not working. It's clear it's not working. We don't care if it's not good for you. We don't care if it's upset your daily routine or whatever it is. The standards at this football club, this football powerhouse that is Manchester United, one of the most famous clubs in the world, and the conditions are likened to what INEOS have got. In fact, he actually said that INEOS, a chemical company, has more cleanliness than what Manchester United's offices have got right now. And that's embarrassing. And they don't like it because they've had their noses put out of place. So when you look at this and who it's affecting most, I would say from top to bleeding bottom. I think it's the players, I think it's the coaches, I think it's the staff at Manchester United, whether it's the medical team as well, I don't know. I think a lot of people would be happy if that was the case because of the amount of injuries we've had this season. I don't necessarily blame Manchester United medical staff. I think there are issues there. Also looking at the fitness side of things, is it just medical and injuries, or is it actually just the fitness side of things? Do we need fitness coaches? Because we haven't got one of them either. So there's something to look into. Are INEOS going to bring that in? In terms of the staff, I don't really care. Like, we are paying money, which is paying their wages, and we're not getting the best in class. We're not getting the most out of them. I do believe that it's not mainly Carrington that's up in air. Like, there are a lot of staff that work at Carrington, but this message was mainly down to the office staff, London-based staff, people like that. I think that's where this is going. But it has affected the players as well. Last night I was told, and I said it on the show last night, that, you know what, it's not a happy place at Carrington at the moment. Some players really don't care. It is the players as well. And this is just INEOS coming in and doing what they know is right in changing a culture of a business, a sporting enterprise, anything that you want. And this is a football club, the biggest football club in the world, and you've got a lot of staff working for you. So I feel like that is why INEOS have done this. They've come in and gone, right, you know what, it's pointless getting in and then just softening up and then just easing our way into it. They've come in and they've made a statement straight away, and that statement is, if you're not happy to work under our conditions or work in this new culture that we're building here at Manchester United, then you can go elsewhere and go and get another job. And it's put the frighteners up, a lot of them. And you know what? I'm not surprised that a few of them are uncertain or worried. But here's the thing, you know what you do? You work harder. You work harder at getting the best out of what you can. And if you're working inside a working environment, you've got more people around you that want to do the same, then it encourages you to do that as well. So INEOS are quite within their right to come in and drop this bomb and say that standards aren't good enough. You've got to look at what is important here, and that's looking at the last decade and where things have gone wrong at Manchester United. If it's broke, you fix it. It's like the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But INEOS are the first, let's just say, the first people to come into Manchester United and audit the place. Look into detail, speak to former staff, speak to current staff, office staff, coaches, former players, speak to the actual current playing staff. That's what is different this time. And they've looked at everything, done a full audit, gone right through and said that this isn't good enough. Now, if you marry that up with what's actually happening in reality on the pitch and off the pitch and the numbers, United somehow managing to have so much revenue and still be in debt, then that's not working. Look at the trophy haul. Is that working? No, that's not working either. So in reality, INEOS are right. Whatever's going on and the minor adjustments that they can make to make Manchester United run better as a business from top to bottom to then help that side of the football, the football side of things, then they're quite within their right to do it. They've invested, going on close to 1.4 billion. Like, they have put their money where their mouth is, and they have said that this isn't good enough. It's not good enough. It has to be better. United need to work better as a full unit, and they have changed the people at the top to do that, and they are now into the main staff, like the running of the club, the day-to-day staff. That's where they're at now, and they're not happy either. I'm sure Murto, Arnold, Stewart, all of these people that have been here for years and years and years would have loved to have carried on and been taking the money that they were taking out the football club and not been bothered about results like INEOS are, but that's not good enough for them. You have to work harder. There's always more you can do. You can always look into what you're doing. Why is it going wrong? Stop making excuses and do what you can do to make it better. Now, in terms of Ten Hag and where he is at with that, I would say he probably has tried to do things, but his hands have been tied behind his back a little bit with what's going on off the pitch, issues with players, obviously finances and not having players available to him that he would have liked to buy and things like this. But what Ten Hag can do is adapt his football on the pitch and try and get results a different way. And that's his job. Everyone else not doing their job, you cannot just put that blame onto them and use that as an excuse for the manager. I'm not having that. Ten Hag could have done a lot more. He could have changed the system. He could have changed personnel at different times. He could have made United harder to beat. He claims that United are hard to beat, but when you look at it, it's just too easy to play against Manchester United. So, realistically, what's going on with INEOS, how they're approaching things, I'm all for it. I'm going to come into the chat now and see what you guys think. In any walk of life, someone comes in and changes something, you're going to be a bit worried. You're going to be a bit wound up maybe if they've come in and said you're not doing a job. So what do? Do you bitch? Do you moan? Do you cry wolf? Or do you get on with it, change up what they're saying and give them a chance? Because if it doesn't prove right in the end after giving it a go, then you can come back and say, well, I've done what you said and it's still not working, so where do we go now? But if you don't and you start bitching around, then really, who are you to even say that this is wrong, what INEOS are doing? Josh, I'm sure we've got loads of comments coming in. What are people saying, buddy?
Yeah, we've got 2 super chats. We've got one from Akash Paul. INEOS pay that money to have influence and power. And we've got another one from Flash Talk saying apparently we still get to Europe if City win.
No, we don't.
That goes to...
We don't. Aston Villa had to win the Conference League for that to happen, and they're still in it. So if Aston Villa win the Conference League and City win the FA Cup, yes, we can still get in Europe. But as it stands right now, Villa are 4-2 down going into that game tonight against Olympiacos. If they lose, then no, United don't get into Europe. It has to work with Villa as well because they're already in the Champions League. Therefore, their place in the Europa League gets passed down, and United will probably end up in the Conference League if the standings stay as they are. I think that covers that anyway. But thanks for the super chat, guys. Any more good ones in there, Josh?
I just want to address what we saw on the live a second ago as well. So there's a guy watching us, and he walked past and he got his leg tattoo out, and the leg tattoo was a World Cup trophy. So I take it he was...
One World Cup?
Yeah.
Would that be Argentinian, just for the fact that they won it last time? Would it be one that England have won? He didn't look English.
He didn't look English, no.
Okay. You guess, guys, put it in the chat. If I could make a poll, I'd make a poll right now. What was that World Cup win?
We've got the
Who was
madhouse.
he going about?
Why did Tuchel sub off Kane?
Why did Tuchel sub off Kane? Okay, I need to address this. A lot of people have gone in on Tuchel. Some idiots have even said that was an audition last night. Seriously, Kane was subbed off if you listen to what Tuchel said, because he had back issues, Kane wasn't having a good game. He wasn't. They were 1-0 up. He had back issues, and he was subbed off before Real Madrid scored. Real Madrid scored because Manuel Neuer drops one of the biggest clangers in Champions League history at one of the most pivotal moments. That's why that game changed. They were in complete control. Musiala came off, and he brought on one of the most experienced men in world football who's seen it, done it, and won the lot in Thomas Muller. And people are still trying to pick up like that's a stupid tactical move from Tuchel. Musiala was having a shit game. And Muller come on when you're 1-0 up and he's trying to look after and maintain a game. You bring on experience to help you through their moments. Tuchel's substitutions, Kim Min-jae, I didn't agree with that one. I'll give you that. That was a bit crazy considering how that guy's playing. And it did put Bayern on the back foot, I thought, a little bit with that, especially for a forward in Sane. They had no real pace out ball apart from Alphonso Davies. So, yeah, I can see where people are going in on that. But don't go in on Kane. Don't go in on Musiala ones. They were already winning. They were shoring things up. Kane was injured. Musiala was crap. And he brought on Muller. I'm sorry, I'm not too fussed about Muller coming on if I'm a Bayern fan at that moment. The experience and the know-how and the quality that he's got, I think that was a smart move. Any more in there, Josh?
Where was it? Back issues from carrying Bayern all season. The game in Simpson.
Yeah, that was a good way of putting it. But he wasn't having his best game. He had that one volley, didn't he? I thought, and I think that's probably his best moment in the game. He got an assist for setting up Alphonso, but that was just one of them stupid stat monster ones. That wasn't it. It was nothing in it, but. Personally, I think Tuchel had that game unlike. No one would have been talking about this. I think everyone, and this is the problem with some people's opinions and how they drive agendas with certain managers, is like everyone was waiting for Tuchel to make a mistake last night. Everyone was waiting for that one moment where they could go in on it. I've seen tweets this morning. Are you still Tuchel in now? Yeah, I am. He's better than Ten Hag. That's a fact. And do you know what? I wasn't really put off by what happened last night with Tuchel. Yeah, he made a mistake with Kim Min-jae, but one bad substitution out of the three. It didn't cost them the goals. The momentum swung with a mistake from one of the most experienced goalkeepers in world football. Some would say still one of the best in world football. So when that happens, what can you do? Fine margins of football, I'm afraid, and you live and die on them swords of results. And Tuchel will take that on the chin and say, look, I was unlucky, but hey, we weren't good enough. We couldn't handle the pressure in the end. And they've had a poor season. So it's still not put me off. I still think he's a very, very good manager. And I think people going in on him, I think it's unfair. But you guys tell me, were you impressed with him last night? Any more from the chat there, Josh, buddy?
Yeah, we've got a nice comment from Shane saying, excellent channel, Adam, brilliant content, much respect, love from Dublin.
Thank you. Do you know what, we've just been talking, actually, is there any more comments? Sorry, I'll cut you off again, sorry mate.
No, go for it.
We've been talking to quite a few United fans out here today, and do you know what, proof, actually, that the PR for Manchester United and what they do, and I've talked about this all the time, like what happened with Ten Hag last week, Martinez this week. There's actual fans here walking around Old Trafford, and everyone's open to the opinion, but a lot of them, when you speak to them, are purely saying exactly what Manchester United have said and what the excuse merchants have said. I don't mean to sort of label them with that tag, but it is reality. That's what it is. They're excuse merchants, always looking for a reason why it's happened rather than looking to fix it and get on with it. They're talking like them, and they're saying that Ten Hag has been hard done to this season. They're saying that Ten Hag has had more injuries. Like, we just spoke to a guy there who said that it would take Eddie Howe. Like, Eddie Howe didn't moan once about injuries. He said it's not easy. He's got on with it. He's dealt with it. And he makes more out of players. He's a better manager than Ten Hag because he changes players and he actually makes what you would see a normal player play better. A better man manager, and his setup works better. So there's plenty of excuses out there for the injury side of things, but just speaking to fans outside Old Trafford here today, it's very clear that they're torn between where they go because they're worried about what manager's going to come in. Like, more people are concerned about change, I feel, just because it doesn't look like there's many managers out there. You got people outside Old Trafford here today that are telling us that Zidane would be the wrong man for Manchester United. He walked into a team that was already made and it was easy for him. That's how people feel. That everyone's got opinions, and the more people you talk to, you see how conflicted they are in deciding where Manchester United go from here. And and that's all present. One thing we have noticed here as well at Old Trafford today, man, that car park is quite full. I think the INEOS effects and staff right now, we've actually had staff talking to us as they've been walking past as well. Not allowed to speak to us, obviously, because they've got to go to work, but there's a lot more staff. That we're here all the time, as you know, and that's the busiest I've ever seen that car park, and there's a lot more staff visibly around Old Trafford. I don't know if this is just because of what's happened with INEOS, but yeah, it's quite visible that there is a lot of change going on around Manchester United now. INEOS have well and truly got their claws into this club and how it's run. And I think this is how it's going to carry on going forward. It's a very proactive approach from the new ownership model. So let's see if that prospers us, and let's see if that works going forward. Hopefully it will, and hopefully we start seeing these little gains, these minor changes that they're making work out on the pitch. Because if you've got people as far down as, let's just say, the catering staff and the stewards and people like this, everyone working in tandem to make the matchday experience better, the atmosphere then gets better. People want to come to Old Trafford more, even when the football's not great. Little things like this, like he was talking about the email percentage of what's gone out with people working at home and stuff like that. Minor little gains to all work towards getting a better result on the pitch. That's going to take time, obviously, but it gives you that better feeling that they are looking to change things at United and not let people get away just working here collecting a wage for the sake of it. There has to be one direction. The ultimate goal is that United are successful on the pitch, and if you're not on board with that, then you can go and find work elsewhere. I think that's the wider message from what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's saying anyway. But still, we've got to see more. Little things like having better drinks, better food at Old Trafford, slacking off in the kitchens and serving out bloody raw chicken. Like, little things like this. I'm sure this is where INEOS are looking at it going, you're Manchester United. I've just paid a fortune for the most expensive and costly football, not for football, but sporting enterprise in the world, and we're serving raw chicken and carling and offering a panini. A fucking panini. That's it. Like, we've got a Balti pie and a panini. Come on. Like, you've got clubs like Spurs who are serving pints with bloody fill-ups from the bottom of the glass. This is where United should be. We should be where Spurs are now. The best facilities, the best in class everywhere. We're miles off it. And to be labelled as the most valuable football club in the world and then see this, that's where I think INEOS are at right now. Yeah, they'll be buzzing because the valuation's gone up and the Glazers will be sat there in Florida supping back on whatever they are, poolside, loving the sun and the weather and just lapping up the bank account notes as they go in. But this, I feel, is where INEOS are looking at it. They want to run Manchester United, and they are. Because all we care about is what happens here at Old Trafford, Carrington, what money comes in from football matters. Like the commercial team, go and do your thing. The commercial side, which INEOS are now tapping into as well, as part of what we're looking to get better on the pitch and earn money from as well, then that, I feel, is where this is going to work out for INEOS. And I think that's the goal in what they want and why everything is changing the way it is. Josh?
Yeah, we've got a membership from Carol saying everyone is a good manager until things go wrong.
You could say that. Like, that's the same with every manager in any football club. Thanks for that, Carol. Is it a renewal for Carol?
It is, yeah. 5 months, I think it was.
Oof, love that, Carol. Thank you very much. One that's been there with us from the get-go, really, when FUTV launched.
Just before we get into any more comments, we've got just over 900 people in there, so if everyone can drop a like. So we've got 150 likes. Let's see if we can get to 200.
Thank you, guys. Loving that. Share the video. Hit that subscribe button, guys.
We've got a comment from Jonathan saying, Adam, is your favourite security guard working from home today?
Oh, no, mate, he's not. This guy loves it. He's already been hovering around us. He watched us park up. I think I'm actually going to have to go into the megastore, actually, just to make him happy. That's how I feel. That's the vibe he lets off. Like, he's everywhere. He's like my neighbour. You know what? He's probably a really nice guy. And it's like we've never even had a normal conversation with him. It's always been about him just putting his authority onto us. And, oh, no, is a kid unhappy here? It's probably because he's been rolled up to Old Trafford in a pram. But yeah, more comments, please, Josh.
Yeah, we've got a question from Lloyd saying, would Tuchel have done any better than Erik ten Hag over the last 2 seasons? Very much doubt it, as Erik ten Hag came to a basket case of a club, overachieved in his first season, which raised expectations.
Do we need to look back at what Tuchel could have done rather than comparing him with Ten Hag? Like, are we looking from this moment forward? Who is a better manager overall? It's Tuchel. He's proved it. He's more experienced than Ten Hag. Yes, he is. Would he have done better in the last 2 years than Ten Hag? It's an irrelevant question, really, because We're dealing with Ten Hag and what he's done. Like, Tuchel cannot change anything in what's happened. Would he have got more out of Sancho? We knew Sancho at Dortmund. Maybe we would have got more out of him then. Maybe he would have demanded more authority from senior players. Maybe he wouldn't have brought in the signings that Ten Hag has brought in. That's the difference, isn't it? We just don't know, and it's pointless looking back on it. This is what United do constantly, and United fans always do it. We look for excuses as to what's happened before. We need to stop living in the past, and we need to look forward from what we can do different now. It's worked with INEOS and what they're doing with the staff. The players need to do it. If they're not willing to do it, then see you later. And the fan base needs to look forward as well. It's going to be difficult because there's a lot of fans that are just not going to have the patience. I flip and flop all over the place with certain players. I think they've got it in them. I think they've fallen off. I don't think Ten Hag's a good manager. I see good things in what he's done. But what it comes down to for me when it comes to Ten Hag, and my ultimate thing is the style of play is just, there's nothing there. There's no plan at all. And you cannot tell me that that is simply down to all of the injuries, because they haven't always been there, them injuries. There has been changes here and there, and he's had options and he's had plenty of players to pick from throughout the season that completely kill that argument dead. There's no plan. I don't know what his style of football is. And like Jamie Carragher said, for people to be coming out and saying we are the worst coach team in the league, yeah, that's where I feel Ten Hag falls down. It's the tactics, the man management. I don't think he's the same with every player. And that, I think he's the same in a few clubs to a certain extent. But with Ten Hag, it does seem like it's a pecking order. If he's brought you in, you're going to get a better chance than players that were already here. It's got to be his players. And they're the ones that failed us against Crystal Palace the other night as well. Josh?
Yeah, we've got 2 memberships. We've got 1 membership renewal for 5 months from Jim, saying great community.
Jim, love that, mate. Good to see you in again, pal.
And we've got another membership renewal for 4 months from Verbal Kint, saying smash the like, people.
Yes, please. I'm sure them likes went on a bit of a boom when Josh mentioned it a minute ago.
Yeah, we've just reached over 200.
Look at that.
And we did have a question. Where's it gone now? Here it is. Tuchel is not a long-term project and falls out with the club ownership. Why should we go after him if we're building for the long term?
Well, we've got a manager that's supposedly done well with the ownership and he's happy with the ownership in Ten Hag, and that's not worked either. So what's right and what's wrong? You don't know. Right now we're changing the hierarchy, and Tuchel is, if he came in, would be starting afresh with everybody. Is that not something different than what he's dealt with before? Is that not different to anything at any top flight club right now? I think this is a new structure completely from top to bottom, including ownership, CEO, directors of football, directors everywhere, honestly, and then a new manager on top of that. This will be the first time that this has happened in history, I think, with any major football club. A complete fresh start with a new manager, ownership and structure. That's the difference, I feel. Like, whether you think Ten Hag is up for that, that's your prerogative, that's your view on it and your opinion. I can see the pros and cons to it still. I just think the cons outweigh the pros with him right now, I do. More, Josh?
Yeah, we've got another question from Keith. Adam, can you admit that Tuchel had a better team and a stronger squad than Ten Hag, yet he failed to win a much weaker league than the Premiership? Why do you think he can improve us?
A stronger team, what is he talking about, Bayern Munich?
Tuchel has a better team than us. So so Bayern's got a stronger team than United, and they failed to win.
Yeah, no, it's totally right. He did. What happened behind the scenes at Bayern Munich, I do not know. I don't know why that's gone off. But what I will say in defence of Tuchel there is, like, the players knew that Tuchel was sacked, knew that he was going, and he still commanded respect from that squad. And you can see he's got the respect from that squad as well. So that's what I will say in it. But Ten Hag, in terms of that excuse again, not having a strong enough squad, Manchester United were beaten twice by that team as well. And we held our own at times in it. We just didn't have the professional in-game management or the mentality to handle them 2 games against Bayern Munich. And we've done that with quite a lot of other games as well. What I will say is, it's like, I've gone before and said, look what Tuchel's done. I've said before also, look, don't look back on the last 2 years of Ten Hag. The question is right now, it all comes down to what fits Manchester United in the here and now. What is better? Is it a manager that's failed at this club already? Or is it a manager that a lot of people are saying has failed, even though he's won all the major trophies that he can get his hands on at other clubs in the past as well? Who is the perfect manager for Manchester United? There's no such thing. It all comes down to who handles the situation and what we're in better. And I don't think we're going to know until we try it. All we can do is give our opinions, look at how these managers are, look at the tactics they've used before, look at what they've done before. And Ten Hag hasn't got a resume like Tuchel. Ten Hag has got winning in the Eredivisie, and that is it. Now, Tuchel, you can argue all his negative points, the fallouts and everything like that. But is there a chance that he is that man that INEOS want? If they can get into him and say to him from the start, at least have the conversation with him and say, look, this is what we're going to do. Are you happy to move along with this? This is what the budget is going to be. You're going to have this much communication with Dan Ashworth. You're not going to be top dog. You're not going to be in Europe. If you're happy to go along with this, then is that better than Ten Hag? I think it is. Go on, Josh, lad.
We've got a comment from Kaz saying, ask Adam if he's got his sun cream on.
Oh, man, it's warm. I was tempted to put the glasses on, but Kaz shouted at me. She said, why are you posing with your shades on these videos? So I'm like, I'm now going to go back squinting with a headache because she won't let me put the shades on. So it's her fault. Well, no, I've not got sun cream on, and it is hot. It's baking right now in Manchester. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think my neck's getting a bit warm as well. We've got a comment from Mr. Dashier Sandero saying, hi Adam, until we get the manager position sorted out and the hierarchy in place, we will struggle to attract the top players. We must simply act quickly, no more waiting around. McLaren in the short term.
McLaren now, end of the season. That, I feel, does help us, weirdly. I've said this before, I don't want to go into it too much, but it does help us with the likes of seeing what these players are made of now for a couple of weeks. And then another manager could be looking in and seeing this too. INEOS could be looking at this and going, right, even with another manager, these players are still not performing. Or they have performed with another manager. Maybe it was Ten Hag. Maybe it is just the mentality of these players. Maybe they've thrown him under the bus. There is so much that getting rid of Ten Hag right now works in favour for Manchester United. I understand, look, what's the point? Nothing's going to change. We're still the same team and the same players. I get that, but McLaren would do something different in the game. He would at least change the formation. Like Ten Hag does not do that. He stubbornly thinks that that team will work itself out and playing that way with, let's be honest, like not respecting opposition in the way that we've approached games as well. That's a problem I've got with Ten Hag. It's like, know who you're up against. Say that you cannot play a certain way. Real Madrid, yeah, one of the most attacking football teams, one of the most entertaining football teams in the world, adapted their game and went defensive to beat Manchester City. You cannot play the same way every single week. You have to change it up and play a different style. We did it and we were bold against Manchester City early on and we scored a worldie, like another goal of the month contender. Would we have scored in that game without that worldie? I don't know. But straight away after scoring, he decides to change it. So for me, I look at Ten Hag and go, whereas I want him to be proactive, he was against City, he was all right in the first 20 minutes. And then as soon as he goes in front, he goes into defensive mode. It's like, why not go into defensive mode when your team is up against it and you've, say, got a lot of injuries maybe? And you just want to stay in the game for as long as you can and maybe scrape a result out of somewhere. No one's expecting swashbuckling, free-flowing football from now until the end of the season. We had a game against Palace, which you could have set up differently in, which you didn't. You went into it stubbornly, not even looking at that front three of Crystal Palace, and how we could counteract that. And that's going to be his downfall, I feel, at Manchester United. I do. Josh?
We've just reached 1,000 people in the chat.
Thank you very much, guys. Buzzing with that.
And we've got a membership from Lloyd.
Thank you, Lloyd. Welcome to the members club, my man.
John Hyde saying, you really want to trust Wally with a brolly?
I don't trust anyone right now, but realistically, I ain't got a problem with him. I don't think anything's going to get any worse with McLaren in over Ten Hag.
We've got a comment from Dadsy saying a lot of these players will throw Erik Ten Hag and any successor under the bus, as they have with previous ones.
Yep, but none of them really played on Monday against Palace. They were Ten Hag players. The players that need to be out are the players that we're not seeing much of. That's what I think. The players that have been here the longest, they're the first ones out the door for me. And we're looking to get rid of Casemiro and Varane. I understand the wage structure and where INEOS want to go with that, but they're two players that I would say not yet. There's other players I would get rid of before both of them, but now look, we're in the situation because of the poor running of Manchester United from the old regime, and INEOS are just cutting their cloth according right now, and that's what we've got to deal with. Any more on there, Josh?
Yeah, I've got a question from Gaming saying, who would be your choice if we can't get Tuchel?
Who would be my choice if we can't get Tuchel? Right. Then you're getting into a different realm, because all the others, I would still probably stick with Ten Hag. I would take Zidane. Yes, I would. I would take Ancelotti. I would take Hansi Flick. I think he's a good shout. And Talksport have been saying that Hansi Flick is interested in coming to Manchester United. So I don't know how serious that is. I'm hearing that he could be possibly going back to Bayern Munich as well. Well, you've got managers there that are better than what we've got out there. But the ones that are being mentioned to us, there was a kid here we just spoke to a minute ago, and he was saying, like, I'm not sure who to bring in. But one manager that definitely shouldn't be anywhere near Manchester United is Gareth Southgate. It's like everybody knows on that one. So it comes back down to the same. I seen a headline this morning on Talksport which said, bad news for Manchester United as Potter reopens negotiations with Ajax. I'm like, what? Bad news? Yes. Nice little bit of clickbait there from the Talksport guys. So what? See you later. Not good enough, not experienced enough. It is a difficult one when picking someone else if we can't get, say, Tuchel. I just think he's top target at the moment for United. Flick, Zidane, definitely if they're on the table, I would be interested in them. But if that's it, and all we've got is the rest, I would stick with Ten Hag. I would. Don't want De Zerbi. I don't want Potter. Don't want Southgate. Motta, crazy. Don't know. Not experienced enough for me. Not sure about that. I didn't want Lopetegui either. I know Graham was keen on Lopetegui as well. He isn't massively experienced at the top level either. Yes, he's got a trophy with Sevilla, but that's about it. There isn't really any standout candidates for this managerial job. But there are people there, if we can get them, that are better than Ten Hag. If not, then no, you don't change it. And Ten Hag goes into the start of the season under instructions. He gets a contract extension at the end of it if he gets to a certain point in the league. That being in the Champions League or winning a trophy, whatever INEOS has set as a minimum requirement for that season. That's the only way we can go forward. That's the only way I would keep Ten Hag, is if there wasn't a better option out there right now. But I think there is. Go on, Josh, buddy.
We've got two questions from Niall. It's quite funny, actually. So the first question, well, not questions, comments. The first comment, Ten Hag is stubborn with tactics, players, media, and by the sounds of it, how we train. Can't wait for him to be gone. A lot of players also need to go, obviously. Yep. But then literally 2 minutes later, when we're talking about Southgate, where is it now? He's put, if it's Ten Hag or Southgate, I would rather keep him. I've been Ten Hag out since September. Yeah,
that's exactly where this fan base is at. It's like, what's the point? Why are you changing him if you're bringing in someone who's shitter? There is I talked about credentials, and like I've talked about Tuchel, where he's been, his experience, what he's won, and that for me is a valid argument. Southgate's got no argument at all. There's nothing in that man's resume. I do not care what you offer me in terms of what he's done from England. I've said this all along. Ten Hag for England, don't give two flying F-bombs, honestly, I don't. It's one of them jobs where you are given a crop of players and you have just got to make the most of it. If you cannot get around the country watching certain amounts of games and realise where these players are best playing or best set up. I mean, if he goes into this tournament and he doesn't play Rice as the one holding central midfielder and then plays Foden and Bellingham in front of him as the three, then he's brain dead. Everyone can see where England are going to prosper. It's not in defence, it's in midfield and attack. Play to your strengths. We'll see if he does it this Euros. Let's see if he sets it up that way. I guarantee he puts another holding midfielder in next to bleeding Declan Rice and plays pragmatic and safe. And then it's easy for the opposition to then stay solid and make England frustrated, and then a mistake will come at the back and we'll be punished for it because he hasn't got the capabilities to in-game manage at the big level at that stage, at that moment when it's needed. Tuchel has, Mourinho has, managers like this have definitely got it. Has Ten Hag got it for United? Well, he's proved that he hasn't. He managed through that Newcastle game in the final, and the problem with that was then it's like, where are your United standards? Why did everyone drop off? How did he allow them players to drop off to a point saying that was it, the season's done? We could have won so much more that season. Go on, Josh.
There's two questions that, well, not comment, again, comments. One, Duke of Hazard, I like Tuchel, but I'd rather have Rangnick back. And then there's a question straight after that basically saying, Adam, what's your opinion on Ralph Rangnick?
I'd have him back. I would. I like Ralph Rangnick. I was gutted for him when he went. I thought the man definitely had a vision. And you know what? I think he'd be perfect to work along with INEOS. I do. Rangnick, for me, I thought was just absolutely thrown under the bus by the players, the hierarchy, everything. Ten Hag hasn't had that because he's had the backing of the club. They've backed him in big moments and big situations. He's had as much money, if not more, than all the other managers before him, so that's a load of crap that he came out with as well. I think Rangnick was the one that's been hard done to in all of this. That guy should still be at the football club right now. And I guarantee, like last season, if you gave Rangnick the backing of what Ten Hag's got, you'd have won as much as what Ten Hag has won and finished and performed as much as what Ten Hag has done at Manchester United. In fact, I think Rangnick probably would have had a decent team this season and a decent performance this season. He would have done a lot better in his second season than what Ten Hag has done, I feel. And I know the questions coming right now are like, how do you know that? I just feel like if we're going to say that Ten Hag hasn't been given the opportunity and everyone's thrown him under the bus, then why are we not talking about the other managers, the likes of Rangnick, and why it happened to him? Why do we have to all of a sudden just jump to the defence of Erik Ten Hag? Like, I wasn't happy with Ole. I thought Michael Carrick was doing an all right job as well, but he's inexperienced. There's just too many excuses right now, and it's all come to a head, I feel, just because of the misperforming season after season at Manchester United, and now everyone's had enough. All of a sudden we have to stop sacking managers. Let's not sack him. But that's all the argument people have got. You're not adding any context to it at all. Why do we keep him? Why is he good for the football club? No one has actually got a valid argument from him apart from the excuses of why it's gone wrong. Like, have we seen a style of play under Ten Hag? Have we seen a press conference where he's actually talked sense? Honestly, I like the guy, I do. I think he has got something in there and he's changed a lot of the culture of the club. I love what he's done with the youth team. They're positives, but he's just not done enough where it matters, and that's where a big club like United should be acting. It's not good enough to finish where we finished this season. Not to have a season like we've had and it be the worst that we've ever had, then you have to look at that and go, that is why Ten Hag will be sacked. Someone has to go. United have to act like a big club. Any questions in there, Josh?
You said the board had bankers who knows nothing about football. I'm a bit difficult to read that one, to be honest. For a long-term rebuild, Ralph is my only option. Literally everyone's basically saying that they miss Ralph, to be honest.
Wreck-It Ralph, bring him back. Let's
Carrick as well.
Trend it. Let's get Wreck-It Ralph back in at Manchester United. He doesn't fancy INEOS. He doesn't fancy Bayern. Let's bring Ralph back in then. Maybe there's something in the water where Ralph Rangnick comes back and that's why he's turned Bayern Munich down. I don't know. I'd love to see Ralph Rangnick and a man actually talking proper football sense in press conferences back again. He knows the issues at this football club. Hopefully INEOS have already spoken to him when they spoke to former staff and managers, and they have a thought of maybe, do you know what, if we are going to get rid of Ten Hag and there's another man to come in, maybe we do give the man that called out the issues that we're finding now another chance. Does that not make sense? Like, I would be happy with that. I do believe that is not going to be massively expensive to United, and this guy has got a plan. He knows players, and you know what? Rangnick working alongside Dan Ashworth, Wilcox, that's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. Let's keep that one moving along, shall we, people? Anyway, before we finish up, Josh, any more questions, comments?
Just got a £5 super chat from Carol saying United always sacked managers. Then along came Sir Alex Ferguson.
True. Different era. A lot further down the line with a lot more competition in the league, I would say. Can we afford to give a manager a 3-year contract now when we're not too sure about what they can bring? Like, I bring that into Ralph Rangnick as well as Ten Hag. Like, we're unsure about both of them. We don't know. But what you have to say is the one thing that Ralph Rangnick did do was figure out straight away, with him being there 2 weeks, where the problems were at the football club. He knew exactly what needed to be done. That is a man that knows how to get Manchester United back where they need to be. And you know what? The structure is there now to help a manager with that vision get to that stage. Bring back Wreck-It Ralph. Let's keep it Germans. The Germans are coming. That's what's happening right now. But I am going to finish up the show there, guys, before I set on fire. Who'd have thought that in Manchester? Wow. Really appreciate you all tuning and watching, guys. Good numbers there today. Thank you so much. What did we finish up on there, Josh?
We've got 1,100 in the chat and
wow,
298 likes. So go on, 2 people.
Yeah, come on, guys. 2 more likes. Let's get them likes in. If everyone in the chat liked the video right now as we finish, we get over 400. You may get Blonde Adam. The 500 shout still stands, but you keep on failing. Sorry, end of the video. No, cheers for watching, everyone. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much to all new members, all of the contributors, super chats, anyone who has joined and subscribed today on the video and liked the video. Everything counts and helps the channel move forward. Really appreciate all of your input, guys. And that is us done for now. Cheers, everyone.